안녕하세요. Riding on the Korean wave. Welcome to Friday's edition of The Culture Wave. I'm Kwon So-ah in Seoul. Explore with us Korea's culture from all aspects and stay up to date with K-entertainment, K-festivals, K-films, K-everything. And before you know, you'll be booking your flight to Korea. Friday means we have our co-host Bella Kim joining us in the studio. Hello, Bella.
Hi, Soa. Happy Friday, Soa.
Happy Friday.
And happy Friday to everyone joining us today. I'm Bella, here to co-host and fill you guys in with the latest in K-entertainment news.
And Bella, very befitting to Friday, to the Friday vibe and also to the spring vibe. We have a theme of festivals going on today on the Culture Wave.
That is right. We're going to be talking about two festivals today, but they're very different from each other, right?
Right. And the first festival we're going to see, our news features reporter is actually at that festival right now. And we have a hint for that, right?
Of course.
Navia, Navia, which of course means a butterfly in English. And you actually look like a butterfly today.
Oh, thank you. You look like a flower today.
And butterflies are attracted to flowers.
Yes.
But let's now go over to our news features reporter. As the weather gets warmer and more pleasant, a variety of spring festivals are taking place across South Korea. Now, while we've recently introduced many spring flower festivals on our show, today our news features reporter Park Gun-woo is at a festival that's probably also abundant in flowers, as this winged insect that's today's main focus is attracted to things that bloom. So Gun-woo, please tell us at which festival you exactly are right now.
Yes, hello guys. I'm at one of the biggest butterfly festivals taking place here in Hampyeong County in Jeollanam province, the southwest part of the country. And this is the biggest, as I mentioned, and most well-known butterfly festival in Korea, now celebrating its 27th edition since its first start in 1999. And you might have noticed that I'm indoors right now, and behind me and all over me you can see these butterflies, beautiful butterflies fluttering their beautiful symmetrical wings. Officials say there are around 200,000 butterflies of nearly 20 different kinds, both here indoors and also outdoors at this festival site. Visitors can also see caterpillars and other fascinating insects, adding to the unique charm of this festival. Today marks the opening day of the festival, and more visitors from all over the country are arriving to enjoy the scene. Parking lots have even been packed since before 9 a.m. its opening, with families, friends, and school kids on field trips arriving. So take a listen to how much the visitors are actually enjoying this festival.
My friends and I are all over 70, but we've been here since early this morning, feeling as excited as if we were 18 again. There are so many flowers, butterflies, and even people. It's such a joy to be here.
It's really fun to see butterflies I've only seen in books. There are so many kinds like the cabbage white butterfly that I know, and I actually got to see them today. I hope more people can come and enjoy them too.
Wow, Kanu, the festival looks beautiful and looks like people are having a lot of fun. Do you have any special recommendations or tips for those who are planning to visit?
Of course I do. And first of all, I'd like to recommend two fun activities you can enjoy at this festival. The first is the butterfly release experience. If you register 30 minutes before the activity, you can receive a small container that contains around 5 butterflies. And when you open the lid, you can watch them flutter away into the air. And as butterflies are often seen as symbols of hope, I strongly recommend flying them out and sending off your wishes as well. The second activity is feeding the butterflies. So you'll be given a bouquet of flowers filled with feed, and then you can actually make those butterflies gather around you, and you can enjoy feeding them up from very close. And also on display here is a special sculpture called the Golden Bat statue, created to commemorate the golden bat, which is a level 1 endangered species that was once found in this region. This recently grabbed attention as its value rose with soaring gold prices, and it's even been seen as a successful investment by the local government. While the activities I mentioned are free, the festival's entrance fee is just under $5. Groups of more than 20 people, as well as children and senior citizens, can enter at a discounted price. In terms of traveling to here from Seoul, which is also a very important tip, it takes about 4 hours by car. If you prefer public transport, you can also take the bus or also the train as well. If you take the bus, it'll take about 4 hours and a half. And if you take the train, it'll take less than 4 hours.
Oh, well, thank you for those great recommendations and tips, Konu. But I also heard on a global scale that there are concerns about the decline of butterflies. What's the situation there in Hampyeong?
That's absolutely true. So according to a U.S. study, butterfly populations in the U.S. have declined by 22% over the past 2 decades, with climate change and excessive pesticide use pointed out as key reasons. But an official I spoke to told me Hampyeong has a competitive edge thanks to its accumulated know-how in sustaining butterfly populations over the years.
Instead of collecting butterflies from the wild, we raise them using selected breeding stock. To thrive, butterflies need host plants for caterpillars and nectar plants for adults. And this clean and natural area of Hampyeong offers both in abundance.
So to sum up, he said it's the combination of natural resources, research, and expertise that makes Hampyeong such an ideal habitat for these butterflies. So that's all I have for you now. Back to you guys.
All right, Konu, thank you for all of that. I hope you get to enjoy the festival a little bit more, and see you next time.
See you next time.
And now time for some K-entertainment news with Bella Kim. Now, Bella, for our first story, we're going to talk about some celebration, an anniversary. What are we celebrating?
We are going to be celebrating YouTube's 20th anniversary. YouTube just turned 20 this Wednesday, and in celebration, the New York Times introduced its 18 biggest moments from YouTube. And guess what? Psy's Gangnam Style and Pinkpong's Baby Shark were chosen. First, Oppan Gangnam Style. The New York Times briefly introduced Psy and said Gangnam Style was first uploaded back in July 2012, and by the end of that year, it became the first video on the internet to reach 1 billion views. Another video that also made onto the timeline was Baby Shark, Baby Shark, yes, Baby Shark. That actually began very quietly when a video of the song was first posted on YouTube. That was back in November 2015. Then the remix version of the same song was uploaded in June 2016. And in November of 2020, it became the most viewed YouTube video ever. And it still is, with 15.8 billion views.
That is amazing.
Yes.
So congratulations. And I mean, really, we have to give it to Psy, because Gangnam Style is often seen as a significant catalyst in the Hallyu boom itself.
Definitely.
And also when it comes to Baby Shark, now Baby Shark caters to children from all around the world, as songs and related contents are translated in around 25 languages. So that is really fascinating. And next, we're going to move over to another piece of Korean content that has been huge globally, Squid Game. Now, the final season isn't out yet, but what are we talking about?
Not yet. We're going to be talking about Hwang Dong-hyuk, the creator and director behind this global sensation Squid Game, will be honored with the creator tribute at the upcoming Gotham Television Awards. Now, the Gotham Films and Media Institute said in a press release that Hwang was selected for combining high-stack storytelling with sharp cultural commentary to create the global phenomenon. Established in 1991, the Gotham Awards acknowledge outstanding achievements in independent films and television series. The Creator Tribute Award category, which Hwang will receive, recognizes the iconic artists and creators who have enriched the landscape and pushed the boundaries of TV, making an indelible impact on the medium. And it's actually not the first time the Squid Game has won the Gotham Award. The Gothams previously celebrated the series with the competitive category award for Best Long-Form Breakthrough Series back in 2021. And this year's award ceremony will take place in New York City on June 2nd.
So much to celebrate today.
I know.
So congratulations to director Hwang. And we will end off today's K-Enter with a K-pop story. And this is about a collaboration, a very unique collaboration.
Yes, it's actually, they're uniting Tableau, the leader of hip-hop group Epic High, and BTS member RM will release their collaborative single next month. Tableau announced the upcoming release of the track titled Stop the Rain on his social media account, along with the teaser video featuring both artists' voices. The new single is a song the two artists actually worked on 2 years ago, and it combines Tableau's distinctive lyrical style with RM's deep and charismatic voice. This collaboration between the two marks their first project together in 3 years after All Day, which was one of the tracks on RM's solo album, Indigo.
This is going to be so interesting.
I know.
Because it's going to kind of be hip-hop from different K-pop generations. And also, I think Tableau seems to like the topic rain, because one of the most famous songs from Epic High is Umbrella or Usan, right?
Of course.
Well, looking forward to that collaboration. And thank you very much, Bella, for those key entry news.
Yes, I'll stick around.
And now time to go over to our AI news presenter, Ari, for other culture-related news. Ari?
Hello and welcome to your AI guide to the latest cultural updates from Korea. Here's our top story. The Culture Ministry has unveiled a comprehensive plan to revitalize Korea's animation industry. During a policy meeting chaired by Acting President Han Duck-soo, the ministry announced it will launch a 20 billion won, or roughly $14 million animation fund this year, and expand it to 150 billion won, or around $104 million by 2029. The fund aims to boost investment, diversify content distribution, foster talent, and support global expansion. The ministry says it's part of a long-term strategy to grow Korean animation into a high-value added industry and respond more effectively to evolving media and technology trends. Acclaimed Korean author Han Dang top bestseller charts once again. This time, with her first book since winning the Nobel Prize in Literature last year. Titled Light and Thread, the book ranked #1 on Google Bookstore and Aladdin, and #2 on Yes24 on its first day of online release. Aladdin reported a surge in inquiries as offline sales began Thursday, with over 12,000 readers signing up for new release notifications. The book is a collection of essays, featuring Han's previously unreleased poems, diary entries, and her Nobel acceptance speech. Pioneer's Imuntan swept 3 categories at the 20th BBC Music Magazine Awards with his album, Chopin Etudes, released last year. He won Recording of the Year, the Instrumental Award, and the Newcomer Award at a ceremony held in London on Wednesday. It is the first time in the awards history that a single album has claimed all 3 honors. Meanwhile, a live album of Lim's performance of Rachmaninoff Piano Concerto No. 3 will be released on May 16th. The recording captures his winning stage at the 2022 Van Cliburn competition, where he became the youngest winner at age 18. That's all from me. Keep it tuned to the Culture Wave.
The southwestern city of Jeonju in Jeollabuk-do province is known for its traditional attractions such as the Jeonju Hanok village, trendy spots appealing to the young people, and of course Jeonju bibimbap. Now in this city, one of Korea's main film events, the annual Jeonju International Film Festival, is kicking off next week. We'll take a peek into what we can expect at this year's festival with our movie expert Jae So, professor and filmmaker at Seoul Institute of the Arts. Welcome back, Professor So.
Nice to be back.
So this year marks the 26th Jeonju International Film Festival. Now, if we have the Busan International Film Festival in autumn, we have the Jeonju International Film Festival in spring. So can you tell us a little bit about the significance of this GIF, if we can call it GIF as well in short, just like BIF?
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's the 2 seasons, it's spring and autumn. So basically, you know, when the flowers blooming and everything's bright and, you know, warm, it's a really great festival in the city of Chanju. Of course, it's famous for its food and culture. So it's a festival that celebrates independent movies, art movies, things like that. And then there's BIF, you know, like GIF, like Busan, where basically it happens in autumn, in full autumn. So after a sweltering summer,
the first time it's kind of cool. So the two festivals have that in common, is that they're designed to sort of represent the beginning of each of the seasons of the year. And then, the films are really different. Biff is more, I would say, Asian cinema and mainstream cinema. And they have bigger stars, things like that. But I think Jeonju has its own sort of very interesting style, because many of the independent filmmakers that have come out of there has started to make mainstream films as well.
Right. I see.
So today we're going to delve into GIF, and we're going to start off with talking about the opening film. I heard that it's a film that was entirely shot by smartphones that we all use every day. What message does this send to the movie industry?
Well, the director of the movie is called Continental 25, and the director is Radu Jade, and he's a Romanian filmmaker who's already famous for a movie called Bad Luck Banging in 2021. He won the Berlin International Film Festival's Golden Bear for his film. So he's a filmmaker that's sort of really up and coming. They call him a genius. And I think he decided to choose sort of a medium like the smartphone to shoot. It's not a new thing, but I think what it captured, it's a kind of a social commentary black comedy about basically a social worker that has to go around kicking people out of, street people, just like living, in places illegally. And the irony is, like, one of the people in the story that they kick out commits suicide. So I think it's kind of shot in a documentary style. I looked at a lot of the trailer bits, and it really has this kind of like real raw quality to the movie. So I think it's a sort of a perfect Chanju Film Festival sort of film to start out the year, the whole festival with. So that has that. And then the closing night film is also a documentary as well. So that's a Korean film that's going to happen as well. So I think this year's, there was like a lot of entries of documentaries. So I think this crop of films this year will probably show a lot of documentaries, kind of experimental works like that. Yeah.
Well, we just saw a bit of the trailer from the movie made of the smartphone, but you really can't tell apart. I mean, just regular people like us can't really tell apart. So I guess it's more about the story, not really about whether it's shot by smartphone or by other cameras, I guess. But let's talk a little bit about the topics there at GIF this year. Gender identity, female solidarity, and the meaning of family. Those are some of the topics that are being explored. So how do you see the trend of this year's GIF?
It's kind of, I think right now, because we've had a political upheaval in Korea, it's still ongoing, but it's really refreshing to sort of watch movies that sort of like take it to another sort of plane of, reality. So I think, going to show movies about gender or LGBTQ movies, and also about sort of families, and we're not talking about traditional families, but sort of surrogate or pseudo families that sort of occur because of items. And one of the big things this year that I wanted to talk about was a film called 36-7, it's like 1670, directed by Park Joon-ho. And this is a movie about a North Korean defector that comes to South Korea, and he's gay. So all the things that he has to sort of encounter in Korean society, that's very resistance, number one, against people escaping from North Korea, and number two, the fact that he's a homosexual. Also, there's a movie called Summer Camera by Song Seung-hee, and basically it's a kind of a refreshing look at sort of like the coming of age story of people that are in their teens. And it's about a lesbian story, but the center of the story isn't really about their lesbian relationship, but how basically in Korea as a young person, it's hard enough just growing up, and then you have identity crises because you've basically they're gender related stories like that. And also, as you mentioned, families, not the traditional families that, mother, father, that kind of thing. There's a movie called Savior of My Life by Bang Mi-ri, and this movie talks about sort of basically what it's like to be in an orphanage in Korea. It's about a young woman who basically gets out of an orphanage, and all the sort of prejudices that she has to sort of like encounter in Korean society, and it's kind of an interesting movie like that. And also there's a movie by Lee Yeon-jung called Ksound, and this one is about sort of a 3-generational story about women from 3 generations kind of living together, supporting each other. So not in the traditional sense of family, but it's basically a family that sort of forms because of convenience and also because they're socially outcast. And a lot of times, being gay or being a woman in Korea, it's still, I would say, it's a kind of a male-oriented society. So they don't get the same opportunity as men in terms of getting a job and getting the kind of salaries that they want. Things like, although it's getting better, right? And this festival really showcases a lot of movies in those kinds of themes.
Very interesting topics that should be addressed.
Right, and we can definitely see the colors of GIF through some of the movies that you've mentioned. Now, you did introduce some of the films, but is there any film that specifically caught your attention from this year's festival?
Well, we mentioned Continental 25, so that's a really good film. So as you said, shot on smartphone, but now smartphones are sometimes better than it used to be before. So it's like up there in the traditional level. And also, there's a documentary by Deming Chen called Always, and this one is about a Chinese boy from a very poor family that discovers poetry. So that's a really good film to watch if you get a chance. And then mentioned Park Juno's 3670 about the North Korean defector who's, is gay. And then there's a movie that I would like two sections that I want to recommend, which is one is by the actress and singer Lee Jung-yeon, who's she started with a movie called A Petal, which is kind of a movie about the Gwangju massacre. Really an excellent film. And that was her debut film, and everybody was like, who is she? And now she's an established actress that has come out in a lot of movies. And she has a retrospective of her work, and then she has a short called Going Flower Viewing, which is her own sort of debut as a director that's coming out. That's interesting. And I also want to recommend an excellent Korean director from the 80s and 90s, still alive, Bae Chang-ho. So they're doing a retrospective of his works. And there's a documentary about his movie making of Hwang Jin-hee and his life. So I would definitely recommend these kinds of movies to watch.
We'll take note of those recommendations, Professor Soo. Now, apart from the film lineup, I heard there are also very interesting programs at the film festival. Anything you want to mention?
Well, Chanju is kind of an interesting city. I had the pleasure of being invited there, and they call it the home of sound. And basically, Jeonju has its own production facilities. It's basically government funded. Also, the city of Chanju is really into it. So we had this project, which happened a couple of years ago, where they invited experts. I happened to be invited as a filmmaker. And basically, we wanted to make Ksound. And the whole project behind that was to create sounds that usually when you put sound effects into a movie, you have a sound library that maybe was recorded in Hollywood and things like that. So the whole purpose of the the sound library was to create sounds completely originated from, Korea. So everything from nature sounds to, we were laughing, it was like baby sounds crying. You want a Korean baby crying instead of a Western baby, things like that. So we started to do it. So now there's a huge sort of, there's going to be a big talk called the Brilliant Conversations at the festival, basically sort of showcasing this kind of K sound. And I think what's interesting about it is it's a project that I sort of also cooperate, but a lot of now filmmakers, their Live Tone's a really famous sound production company that worked on movies like Parasite and also Squid Game. And they're the artists from that company is going to come out and talk about how the future of sound from Korea itself is now embedded into Korean content itself.
I wonder whether those K sounds also involve traditional Korean instruments like kayagum, for instance, because those create a totally different atmosphere in movies. And also, Professor Soo, do you think the variety of topics and formats and also music of films featured at GIF will strengthen the power of K content?
Definitely. I think one of the great things about Chanju or GIF is the fact that it really showcases a lot of independent movies that maybe a person with no money or they had a lot of projects that maybe were too controversial for a commercial sort of release of the movie. So there have been a lot of big movies that came out of there. For example, there's a movie called Our President by Lee Chang-jae. It was a documentary about the president, Roh Moo-hyun, and that became a huge hit. But it debuted at Jeonju. And they would have projects like, it's the Jeonju Cinema Project, which is basically, you would take sort of people from that were showcased in the festival before, you would make like a short film, an omnibus movie. So it was like showing 3 different filmmakers, and this happened in 2014. So at that time, there's a filmmaker, from a foreign country, Yorgi Parfi, who made a movie called Free Fall, and then Shin Yunshik made Avian Kid, and also Park Jun-bum made Alive, and that was. They showcased the shorts, and then it went to many different festivals. So not only that, so basically Chanju is a sort of a platform for sort of new filmmakers. I think maybe the next Bong Joon-ho could come out of there, and I'm hoping that, whereas like I would say there's Busan Film Festival and Busan Film Festival. Busan's more of a genre-oriented film festival, and then Busan's sort of like Asian cinema and mainstream cinema. But those are sort of movies that kind of have more financial backing. And I would say of the 3 festivals, Jeonju's the one that is a dark horse. Like, you don't really know what's going to happen. Like, somebody might have made a movie with just like funds that they put together with their friends, and suddenly it's like a brilliant movie. So sort of like a discovery of new talent is definitely something that JIF has a sort of a finger on.
Very interesting. Well, Professor So, that's all the time we have. Maybe because the festival starts next week and runs through May, we may talk about the highlights later on one day. But thank you very much for your insights again, and have a great weekend.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
And thank you, Bella, as always. Have a fantastic weekend. We'll see you back next week.
Yes, I'll see you back next week.
And thank you for spending the past half an hour with us on the Culture Wave. Enjoy your weekend, maybe at some outdoor festivities. And please join us again next week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Korea time.